we start our meeting today, we're going to have a prayer, and the prayer is given for the benefit of the board. Whether or not you want to participate is up to you. You can, each time we have a meeting, we invite a member of the clergy or anybody that wants to come and have our invocation. We're also going to have the pledge, and since John Baker's out of the room, I'll ask Jane if she'll lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ron, you're going to do the invocation today?
Sure, thank you. Let's bow our heads, please. Father, we're grateful for the past year that we've just come through. Thankful for your help, your grace that you showed to us. As we approach 2014, Lord, as a board for this city, we just ask that, again, that grace will be extended. Your blessings will help. We don't know what holds the future, but we don't know what's in the future, but we know who holds it. And we just ask your blessing upon it in Christ's name. Bless the meeting today, the endeavors of this board also, again. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Call the meeting to order, and everybody would turn off their cell phones or put them on vibrate or whatever it takes. We'll have the roll call.
Jane Oakley.
Present.
Fran Schomel.
Present.
Leonard Urban.
Present.
Mike Bishop.
Present.
Ron Coldiron.
Present.
Records show that all members of the Board of Public Works and Safety are present today. This is the first meeting of the year. We will go with the reading of the minutes of the December 16th meeting, 2013. What's your pleasure?
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the minutes as written, dated December 16, 2013.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the December 16th meeting, 2013. Are there any additions or corrections? None appearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. First item of business today is the Keystone software for the Clerk Treasurer's Office. We do it every year. It's in your packet. I think it's pretty much self-explanatory. With your permission, I'd like to go ahead and pass that.
What is the cost?
$7,120, I think.
Is that an increase over last year? Or is it?
It is actually about $500.
Okay, I thought it was. Okay.
Your Honor, I move that we accept the Keystone Software System annual maintenance agreement for the total of $7,120. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the Keystone software for the Clerk Treasurer's Office. I think if you read through that, it covers a lot of things just besides software.
It does.
It covers us in case we make mistakes or whatever goes on. So there's a lot more to it than just the software. I would say I don't see where we have much choice.
We really don't.
We do it every year.
Any further discussion?
Well, I also noticed in support of that it gives us our updates throughout the year, the whole
Yes.
9 yards at no cost, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
appreciative.
all that's inclusive.
Any other discussion?
That's pretty cheap.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Got that covered. Okay. And then we're approval of the agreement with the fire department. We do this again each year. You need an explanation of what it is. I've got the fire chief here.
Yes, I'd like.
Fire chief, if you'll get up here and explain this. Seems like this is less than it was before.
It goes down a little bit from a couple years ago. I think it's the same as last year, though.
What does it do for us?
They sample the air quarterly to make sure the air we're putting into the tanks, how safe it is, so we don't have a problem, firefighter passing out or anything. And also, it's a maintenance agreement on the air compressor as far as filters and oil changes and stuff like that, so they take care of all of it. We have a compressor over there that compresses the air and puts it in the bottles.
Any further questions?
No, I move we approve the invoice for Pro Air in the amount of $1,110 for the fire
Second.
department.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, son.
Request for a boot drive January 18, and Rena called and said she couldn't be here today. She said she's going to move it up to another meeting, so we'll skip that one. She just called about 2 minutes ago. You were out of the office. Resolution 2014-01, transferring the park $230 from repairs to building to refunds. You know what that's for, Julie?
Yeah, right off the bat, they had somebody cancel something that
They had
had a
a refund.
$700 refund, and it's only got like $500 appropriated in that
Okay.
line item, so.
Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay. I'll take a motion on that then.
I move we approve resolution 2014-01.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Utilities. Dave,
All right.
you should be up and down by now. We're setting a new record here for a big show.
Yeah.
Joey called me.
Got friends.
Good year to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Just have a couple things. Have a commercial request for trash collection at 722 Eastern. That's the building immediately north of the old Miller cafeteria. Georgia Green requests collection there. And with your approval,
What kind of business is it?
I don't know what it is.
It's tattoo
To-
parlor?
What it is, I don't
It's
know.
that small
I think it's a-
building, it's that
Yeah, that
small.
one.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it's a
Retail.
beauty shop or what it is.
Georgia Green's in the real estate business, but I don't
They
think it's real
probably
estate.
still
is it?
own
No,
the
it's,
building.
I'm sure she owns the building.
Yeah, it was the former American Heritage Building, so they still own the building and they're renting it to someone, I would assume.
And there's been several things in the past, most people remember it as Shriners Building.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think if it's a customer, it's right on our route. I don't think it's a problem. They know where to put the can out.
Okay.
We gotta have a vote here. Anybody?
I move we approve the trash collection for the business at 722 Eastern Avenue.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Also, we have an annual agreement with Wessler Engineering. They do our stormwater professional services. We always build in there a not to exceed clause. Last year, we had a not to exceed $10,000 and the amount was $8,850 some dollars. This year, we have a not to exceed 15. There's going to be additional work because of some new regulations by EPA and the state. So there'll be additional work there, but it's a not to.
Did we take quotes on this, or do we just renew it with them every year?
The last 2 years, Bill did a phone call request, and nobody wanted to match this. So I didn't even try.
I don't even think he got a return on any of the calls.
No,
did
he didn't, because of, it's kind of small potatoes to some groups, but it is very valuable to us, particularly since, you know, I'm the only management doing this in the office, so I really need that help. So I have an agreement here, and I can leave it with you if you.
Why
so
did we
choose.
up the not to exceed? If it was only 8,000 this year, why didn't we leave it at 10?
But there is additional regulations we're going to have to do that I'm sure is going to be more than 10.
Government requirements. man.
You don't know what they are.
Unfunded mandates.
Well, the MS4 is for stormwater. There is additional education requirements. There's additional reporting requirements. They travel with us when we go to the state to do our annual report. And I can easily monitor that and stop them at any time. But
It seems like a lot, that's 50% increase.
I can leave this with you if you so choose not to approve this today, let you keep it and read it. I have 2 copies that request the signature from the utility manager and the city clerk treasurer.
I find that when you have not to exceed, that's what it is.
Well, we had a not to exceed at 10,000, it was only 8,000 last year.
8,800.
So,
That does kind of give them an open window when you think about it.
I've never had them that I know of exceed whatever they've had in the.
well, I'm not saying that, but why didn't we go to 12 or 10 or 11?
Probably a good round number.
Who
I
picked the
approved that.
15?
They requested that, I approved it. They requested that in December to add that in there, and I approved it.
Can we go back and ask them for 12? Or is
You can,
that,
or you can just tell me to make sure they don't go beyond 12 and add wherever
Yeah,
they
they can
are.
always, if they got more work to do, they can come back to us, but I don't see any point, because those companies, when you get not to exceed, that's what it is.
he's right,
I'm fine with that, if that's what you want me to do.
I'd say not, I'll make a motion not to exceed 12.
second.
That's given 4,000 roughly, 200 more than what. Is there a second?
I did second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
The other thing I have is more of a public service announcement than anything else. We have some warmer weather coming, we have some rain coming, and without the ice and snow moved away from stormwater catch basins that are on your street curb, that water's not going to go anywhere. So I would recommend residents, if they have a stormwater catch basin near their home, go out there and move that slushy ice and stuff away from that catch basin. Give it an avenue, because if not, if it can't get there, it's going to stay out in the street. If it stays out in the street and the weather
The
gets
state has
colder,
already come down State Road 1 and cleaned their catch basins. We could clean some too, and we're not doing anything else.
right, if they're not doing anything, that's right. This morning, I had 5 guys to read meters, and then I had a water main break and had to pull 3 of them off. So we'll do it as much as we can too. And that's the same thing in the spring when people cut grass and the grass starts floating down the curbs and clogs those drains. In the fall when the leaves are covering it, I went around and took pictures of a couple where they were just packed with leaves last fall, and water can't get down them. It's a good idea if you want to protect your own property and your vehicles to keep those clean.
Yes.
The street department keeps the tops clean as much as they can. We keep the equipment itself underground, operating the best we can, but I'd like to have some people take some self-responsibility too. Other than that, I don't have any reports.
Okay, you've been working on a ordinance, salary ordinance, and I've discussed it with the clerk treasurer, and I want Jane has given me permission to appoint her, and Julie and myself, we're going to work with you on a total ordinance revamp on all non-contractuals. So I want Jane to chair that committee, and I think she's agreed, so she can call the meeting, probably have to call it after her work hours, and we'll sit down together and see if we can work that out, okay?
Sure.
And if we can, we'll make it retroactive back to the first of the year. We didn't get it done before the end of the year, so with your permission, is that all right?
Sure, it's fine.
He's asked for these to be looked at, and I've had some other requests. And we'll look at those, and then we'll bring it to the board for approval, and then eventually to the city council for an ordinance change if it requires it, which I think it will. We'll get that done. So, Jane, let's try to get that done by the end of February if we can.
You have my email, let me know when.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And we can come out to your office if you got room for us,
Okay.
if you need us to.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell me when to be available.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Anything else with utilities? Thank you, David.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
Police Department.
Dave and Dave.
I've come up to ask the Board of Works, with the recent retiring of Frank Jackson as a detective, I've temporarily replaced him with Lieutenant Craig Hamilton, who has been a line lieutenant, and to take that position, and because we need to really keep our 3 detectives out there. They got a pretty good caseload. Craig has been a member since 1997 of the Carnesville Police Department. Prior to that, he was in the Indiana National Guard, Army National Guard, and the military police. Since his employment here, he's been a dog handler. Also, he's on the SWAT, has been on the SWAT team, and also he's went through the ranks of sergeant and lieutenant, and he is a very good officer and an asset to the Tech Division and to the police department, and I recommend him for promoted to detective permanently.
What is the caseload at the detective division?
At the caseload, as far as how many cases?
I mean, do they have like 100 cases each or 5 cases?
Well, they split them up equally. I think right now, just an estimate, they're probably running anywhere from 75 to maybe 150 each cases, and I can safely say that. And then, of course, they keep coming in, and they do solve quite a few, and some are put on hold because of lack of further information and stuff like this. But also, we have a detective on call on weekends, and even our drug detective is part of that. You know, there's 4 detectives, one works drugs, and the other 3 are just right out of the investigative part of it. And but when there's weekend call-in, they split it up. So every week we have a different one's on call through the weekend.
So he'll go into the detective division as a lieutenant?
Yeah, well, no, he'll go as a detective. That's the difference.
Does that pay more than a,
It takes a little bit more, yeah. The detective makes the same thing as a captain.
is that going to create a vacancy then in line
Yes, it
officers?
does. And I'll be approaching you in here in the next meeting, or next couple weeks, in regards to some promotions, and also talk to you maybe about replacing Frank, just because it's cut our manpower short.
How many police officers do we have now without Frank?
Without Frank, we got 25.
And how many does the union contract call for?
Well, it was 26.
I don't
Anybody here
think-
remember? Anybody got a
You
number
didn't,
there?
you
I
didn't.
don't
didn't-
think their contract has anything.
In your
like
contract,
the
somehow the
fire does.
contract before this one had a 26 cutoff, but this last contract didn't get it in there.
That's good.
Well, not really, because it's gonna cost us more overtime
Okay.
if we don't replace that person.
Okay, well,
Sufficiently, if we had, this is not hypothetically, this is fact, if we had basically 24 on the line, you know, if 3 8-man shifts, you probably wouldn't have any overtime. You'd have one every once in a great while. But as it is, we got 2 6-man shifts and 1 7-man shift now, and our busiest shift is the one with 7 men, where it used to be 8. And we really need to replace that man.
well, we'll look at that.
What's the part-time people, where are they at? Where are they?
Part-time people are usually used for scheduled overtime. If we have a situation, people on vacations, holidays, stuff like this, not so much holidays, but vacations.
You have 3 part-timers now?
Yeah, we got 3 for the road, and we got 1 special investigator that does special investigations.
Could we bump one of them up and run short on a part-timer? Is that a
You
possibility?
mean take one, that's my plan, is take one of my part-timers and make him full-time, and then
Hire another part-timer.
Yeah, hire another
that was my
part-timer.
point. Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my plan, that's a good way, but after that, I think my, the rest of my overtime guys, the part-timers, are too old to be hired as full-time people due to getting into the pension fund. They have to be hired before they're 36 years old. And all the rest of them are like, except the one I'm looking at, he's like 32, I think. The rest of them are over 40.
You can discriminate age when you're hiring policemen.
Yeah, with a pension, yeah.
No place else can.
Pension can discriminate
No,
age,
just-
we can't. Pension-
Pardon?
We can't discriminate age, but the the PERF can.
Yeah,
Government's
PERF's the one that
exempt
can
from-
do that. The state police have raised theirs up to 30, be hired by 39. In other words, if they're 40, they're too old, 39, they got a chance.
Okay.
Do all
Anything
the
else?
detectives work the same, do all the detectives work the same shift, or do they?
They do work the same shift, mainly, the 3 detectives do, but they stagger a little bit. Like one comes in at 7, and a couple come in at 9, and one stays a little later, or, you know, they stagger it like that. By moving, we'll have a lieutenant's rate open. And I'll bring this up next one, but just a little food for thought. I've been talking to Julie, and we did the statistics on it and came up with, I don't have the figures in front of me, but I would like to, that means that I'm gonna move a sergeant to a lieutenant, and I'll have a sergeant's opening. But I'm only running right now 2 sergeants, and I got 1 shift that's only running a captain and a lieutenant. And it's causing a lot of supervisor pay for patrolmen to run the shift. And so we did a little check on that, and we're paying more money to pay patrolmen to run a shift versus what it would be just to promote somebody to a sergeant and make up the difference. So I will be talking to you before I bring this to the board here for any type of approval, or there'll be some discussion on it. Explain the situation with my figures and everything else. And Julie and I have been talking about it a little bit, so.
Okay. All right. On moving Hamilton to a detective full-time, any discussion? Anybody? I'll take a motion then. I recommend it. I think he's a good man, does a good job.
I'll second. Is that a motion, Mayor? I'll second that if that's right. Did you make that
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Second, please.
Any discussion before we vote? Have a roll call vote to be sure we're on track here.
Jane Oakley,
Yes.
Fran Schomel.
Yes.
Leonard Urban.
Yes.
Mike Bishop.
Yes.
Ron Coldiron.
Yes.
Okay, you have approved that, so you go ahead and do that, and we'll discuss the other issue.
Yeah, we'll discuss the other issues.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Troy, did you have anything? That's the only department heads we got here today. But public forum, not much about public left.
EMS is back there.
EMS, did you have something you want to bring up? You just came for the glory. Okay. Public, anybody? Nothing? Nothing. Old business. Anybody? Nothing? Miscellaneous business.
I'd like to piggyback just very briefly on what Dave Nutty said about catch basins. It's only good right now because we're live. So this afternoon and this evening, if the public could go out and look, especially parents, look where their kids stand at bus stops and sidewalks. It's getting slushy. The temps are finally up enough so we can move it around and make sure your bus stops are clear for in the morning.
You're kind of indicating we might have school tomorrow.
I didn't say that, but it would really help if we could get some of those bus stops in front of your homes and at your corners in your neighborhood cleaned off. So I'd appreciate that.
Press, you got that? Clean here. Catch basins to catch the water and clean the snow off so your kids can stand
Yeah, we really didn't want children standing
in the road.
in the roadway because they couldn't stand on corners, especially with slick streets.
It's been a rough time for kids, hasn't it, buses?
It's been rough. So any public assistance we can get this afternoon will be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
And I think the mailman would appreciate too. I see, I walked to Brian's yesterday and I couldn't hardly make it. I thought about the mailman. Everybody should try to clean their sidewalks so the mailman can get your mail to you. It's hard enough being out in the cold, let alone walking on ice. And I know it's been difficult. Anything else under miscellaneous business?
Mayor, I received, and I think everyone else did too, an email from Mr. Quorum on the Riggins Street deal. He's requesting a meeting with the board.
Yes.
Do we need to do anything
Don
with that?
Crum.
Yeah, Don Crum, yeah.
We made that decision. I discussed that with Julie. I don't know if you want to go back and discuss it again. That's up to the board if they want to meet with them.
I don't know. I mean, I got an email, I just.
I did too, and I talked with Julie.
Mine here, yeah.
The decision was made. We went over this last year. We appointed a committee. The committee met with them. I think Mr. Schomel asked for financials, and did you get anything?
No audit, no audit. I did receive a copy of a budget, but not an audit that we requested.
Well, I'm certainly willing to meet with them if the board wants to do that. Well, of course, we have a meeting twice a month. They're certainly welcome to come here and present anything they want to. Would you like for us to send them a letter to that effect? Or?
I think we'll respond anyway.
I would invite them to one of our meetings, yes. Well, I would like to
Okay. We have to go,
do it.
you know, our recreation people and our park people know what's going on, and in light of what's happened over at the ballpark, we're going to have a tremendous expense over there this year. Everything's destroyed.
Yeah.
I will send them a letter. Is that okay, that to attend the next meeting and discuss this?
Yes.
We were very willing to. They came here last year. I don't know why they
I
wouldn't come this
don't
year.
either, I don't even understand why they're requesting this, because to your point and Fran's point, we went over this once, I thought we did anyway.
Right.
And I think we made it clear we wanted an audit report for the finances before we made a decision. And we didn't get one, and we made a decision. I will invite them to come to the next meeting. Melissa, mark that down. Don is the president of that board now.
Yes, I think so, according to the letter.
We'll make sure Mr. Bottom is here. I mean, I know he's busy with the streets today, but
Yes, he's president.
We'll have him here at the next meeting.
Here's an email address if you need it.
We've got it.
Okay.
Any other miscellaneous business? Claims.
Utilities, water was $477,871.92, and probably 75% of that was in the waterworks bonds. Sewer was $92,085.40. Stormwater, was $6,220.26, for a total of $576,177.58.
Okay, the city, the amount claims 134, and the money was $175,974.66, with $93,608 for the NDOT project on Grand Avenue. So,
Any other discussion on claims? None appearing?
I'll make a motion to accept the claims as so stated.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to accept the claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. I did have, let's see if I can get this straight. I had a request for us to meet with the new company, Wayzata, pertaining to the utilities up there. And I've got David looking at some materials. I think I will, let me see if I can arrange for them to come to the next meeting, or we'll hold an executive meeting, because I think that stuff is pretty private that they want to talk about. And I'll give you a little brief history. There's 29 water hydrants around the building. They think that over half of them probably don't have water in them. Some of them were put in way back when the building was built, and it's just a little pipe coming through the, yeah. Did you check each hydrant to see if it had water?
No, I didn't. It's our responsibility to provide the facility itself with adequate water. After that, it's their own.
It belongs to them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Of course, they took this over a month ago, and they've been checking those hydrants, and they don't think there's any water in them, which I really kind of believe they might be right, because I know we had to put another hydrant in when the other company was there. We put a big hydrant in on that 12-inch line on the front. Fire chief probably remembers that one.
That was because they had all the fire protection shut off.
Okay,
And so we installed a brand new fire hydrant on that 12-inch line out front.
well, they're
I've been
right.
working with, me and the crew has been working with Griesmer Fire Protection, the company that's doing their fire protection work, and they're keeping us informed of what they're doing as they need our assistance. Because we try to help them as much as we can without actually doing private work. And it's my understanding that they in fact do have 25 hydrants. The question to me was, do they really need that many? Well, that's not a question for a water guy to tell, but
But he's
fire
checking that
protection
out with the fire protection, but
Yeah.
we also, he wanted to check to see if they worked.
And
And
If-
the problem is, maybe the fire chief should get those little 2 or 3 inch pipes that come into those old hydrants. Would they serve you any purpose if you hooked to it?
That's
You
a
might get in
connection
on that a little bit with the fire protection company and
And we
find
probably
out.
ought to look at the fire code, because they did ask for some design releases on the system. And Mike from the fire marshal's office was trying to get us that information. So we probably ought to look at the code, see what they got.
The other thing too, Your Honor, those hydrants probably haven't been flushed since, it's hard telling.
Well, here's what we do as a utility. Going by, ordinance and law, if there is a hydrant on the premises, we charge them for the hydrant for the availability of water being to their private hydrant. And if it doesn't work, that's nothing we can do about it. If they remove it, then we remove the cost. But,
Well, I don't think they can remove them unless they got permission from
yeah.
their insurance company and from the fire
Because
department.
any private company could tell us, well, that one doesn't work, and that one doesn't work, and that one doesn't work, and we don't want you to charge us, but we don't know that they do.
I want you to get with them and get with their fire protection people, and let's see what we're doing up there. Okay. And see how many they really need.
I think that's edicted by the amount of square feet the building, or whatever you're putting
Right.
structures in there,
Well,
what have you.
also, is it a steel manufacturing, or are they doing something with
Exactly,
wood?
yeah.
So,
They're probably gonna
all
have to
those
have them.
things. I have information with me, I just don't have it in order to present it to you, but I do have everything you requested, it's in my folder. I just
You're
don't
gonna
have
put it
the,
together so I can have it, no problem. Well, we'll take that up. They asked for the Board of Works to look at that, and we'll look at that and see where we are. And you check with the safety people, and let's see where we are, how many they really do need, and if they want to take some out, they don't need them, that's fine. But if they need them, then they need to stay there.
and if they do remove them, they need to notify us that in writing so that we can remove it from
Who
there.
put them in the first place, the city, or did they have to put it?
Anything beyond that initial connection for fire protection is the,
It's building infrastructure.
yeah, it's, right.
Okay.
Building-
Outside
It's the
contractors
ownership
put 'em
of the
in.
property owner.
Did we put the big one in out in front, when we put the water line in?
We did, yes.
Because that belongs to the city.
Shouldn't.
No.
It's on there.
Put it in when the city owned the building.
Right,
When the city sold the building, it became the property of whoever owns it.
whoever owns the building. Same way with some of the adjustments we discussed. When the city owns it, it's a manner of costs. When a private company owns it, it's another manner. And all that I have in that file.
Okay, so the meter is between that hydrant and their
But
building?
there's no meter on fire.
No, but we run a 2-inch line from that same
True.
line into the building. Is the meter,
And they're using that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, and
is
that's
that
totally
meter
separate from
between the
fire
fire
protection.
hydrant and the building?
Uh,
Or is it before the fire hydrant?
Yeah, you never hook anything to a fire hydrant line. So the fire hydrant,
We had some in some apartment houses that belonged to the apartment house. That's why I'm asking.
well, right, and that's a unique situation too. We did not, you're discussing the one out Woodside. We didn't know that their fire hydrants actually went through their water meter. So we could not charge them for that. But
Well, that's the
same,
question I'm asking you. I know
Yeah.
we put the hydrant in and then we put the meter in. The meter is where? In between the fire hydrant and the building?
it is its own separate system. Yeah, we have a 12-inch main with a fire hydrant off of it here, a 12-inch main with a 2-inch line going in.
And that's where the meter is, on that 2-inch line?
Right, yeah. The other situation, the same owner as Woodside, he actually had a hydrant removed that we were charging. So, and that's up to the liability of the owner if they remove it.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I think all they're trying to do is get their ducks in a row and see what they need and what they're paying for. Okay,
right,
thank you.
thank you.
If you would check with their fire system and let's see where we are, you need to know that anyway. You need to know where those hydrants are and how it works.
By code, they have to have them inspected and tested every year and provide that to us.
Okay, so you could enforce that.
Yes.
I can't think of the company's name that come in there all the time.
Corson's, who does most of them around
Who?
here. Corson.
Yeah,
They have
I was gonna say corrosion.
Do they?
Griesmer, fire protection,
That's their protection company.
we've been working with them.
Okay, you ought to probably get in on that, Troy.
I can give you a phone.
I did ask we had some requests about traffic and water over at the new Hardee's place, and I asked Dave to go over, and I think we got the stormwater taken care of. We got a traffic problem over there. They're gonna come out on Eastern Avenue, they're gonna come around the back of the building and come out on Eastern Avenue. And I talked with the developer and the owner, and I think the state is mandating that they have to turn left.
Left or right?
Huh?
Left or right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
You have to be right.
Right,
Yeah,
turn
okay,
right, turn
okay.
right. They can't,
I was gonna
they
say,
can't
that makes
turn
sense.
left.
Okay.
And the
Statements
eye
and
doctor
decisions
has
would be good.
requested that we put a curb maybe in there so that they can't come over and plug the
They're
alley
supposed
while
to
we
be
wait
building
to
a
turn
curb
right.
down the side of the alley there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen the plans for the building, and the plans show a barrier curb between the drive-through and the
alley.
alley.
Good.
Well, they've taken that out,
Oh, they have?
and so we wanted them to put that back in,
They'll have to.
because that's what was approved originally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the plans show that, and it brings them back around to that
You
entrance.
notice when they poured all the concrete, they didn't put it in.
And,
Well, anyway, I just want the board to know we're working on that. Yeah, they have to turn right there, go north, they can't turn south.
Okay.
But the eye doctor was worried that if they just came over there and plugged the alley, they could never turn into his place. And I can see his point. So they have to stay on their property until they turn right, as she said.
out of the one on Eastern. over
Yeah,
from
that should work pretty good.
Yeah, because they said they were gonna put that all the way down to the
Yeah,
valley there.
they eventually, they took it out, and then I talked to them, they said they'd put it back in. Okay. Those are just things I wanted to tell you about. Anything else to come before this board? Not appearing, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned.